Last week on our Nation Sports Show, we started our previews for this year's NFL regular season. As we started off with the NFC North and the NFC South divisions. On this week's edition of our Nation Sports Show, we continue our previews for this year's regular season. Tonight, we preview the NFC East and the NFC West divisions. How will the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott respond this season? Can Prescott rebound and recover from last year's shortened injury play season for the boys? Can the Washington football team make another playoff return this year? Who will conquer the NFC West divisions? Can Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks continue their dominance in this division? How will the Los Angeles Rams respond now that they got quarterback Matthew Stafford under center? And how will the Arizona Cardinals do this year with their offseason acquisitions? Also, the latest news in the NBA, MLB, UFC, and so much more. The nation speaks to you. Next. From the gridiron to the good, talking all Venice sports. Members of the Busted Nation bring to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Todd Togleman, Kevin Rorie, and Stephen Wyatt. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Nation Sports Show, live here on YouTube. I am actually your host once again this evening, Stephen Wonder Wyatt. What is going on, folks? Man, we have an action-packed show for you tonight. Man, once again, I had to search high and low to find people to help me out tonight, stepping in for Ezra tonight. And, brother, hope you get well this week, man. I know you're going through some stuff this week, and we're praying for you, brother, and just, hope you pull through and all that. And we're always here for you, brother. But tonight on our Nation Sports Show, before we get to that, I would like to plug our social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/ON_sports show and Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. And folks, we are 28 subscribers away from hitting that 100 plateau to get a custom URL on YouTube. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just type in Our Nation Sports Show, and there it is in the search box. And click that little subscribe button. Give us a like. Share the videos and all of that fun stuff. So let's get to the show, everybody. And joining me tonight is a cast of sports fans that are diehards, just like yours truly, sitting here in the big boy chair. And first up, he's our favorite coach. I know he's ready to play today. Coach Todd Tarverlin, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, man.
Great.
And I would like to also introduce, yes, he's a Buccaneers fan. He's a Red Sox fan. He's even a Patriot fan. I don't know how the hell that's possible, but he is Mitch Young. What's going on, brother?
Not much. Another beautiful rainy day here in the state of Florida.
Oh, yeah. And I got to go to this guy. This has been my buddy for 17 years. Him and I are diehard San Francisco 49er fans. He is the one, the only Kevin Rorie. What's going on, brother?
What's going on? How y'all doing tonight?
Good, man. Let's do this. And I have to bring this guy last because he's making it stand out in this room with this. Okay. Anyways, he is a diehard New Orleans Saints fan and a LSU fan. Who dat? Who dat nation, baby? The one, the only Sean from New Orleans. What's going on, Sean?
What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, man, this is going to be an awesome show. So before we get to the NFC East and West tonight, I would like to start out with you guys. I know, Todd, we talked about this last week, but the rest that weren't here last week, let's dive into the NFC North and the NFC South divisions. So we'll start with the North. So, man, it was a crazy year last year because Green Bay was the top seed in the NFC last year. 13-3. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP for last year. 48 touchdowns. MVP season. One game away from the Super Bowl. And they lost to the Bucs in the NFC Championship game. And so as far as Green Bay goes this year, I'll start off with you, Kevin, first. How do you think Green Bay is going to do this year? Now that we know that Aaron Rodgers is back at training camp, and he brought back one of his favorite targets from the teams from years and years of playing with them, Randall Cobb.
I think, honestly, they'll still win the division. They're division favorites, as they should be, because of their offense is, like we were discussing, is top 5. I think they got weapons outside, the good O-line, great running back, and it's just up to their defense.
Yes. And Sean, what about you? How do you think Green Bay's going to do this year?
Green Bay will probably win the division. You have Aaron, you have Cobb, you have Adams. Tanya came on last year. He gets another year with the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Mr. Jones in the backfield. Ain't nothing wrong with having him catching the ball out the backfield and pounding it up the middle.
Mm-hmm. Todd, what about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. Aaron Rodgers seemingly has his head screwed back on right. At least he says so. And, he is Aaron Rodgers. So with him coming back and that not being the hardest division, to say the least, I feel like Green Bay will win it.
Oh, yes. I mean, they did so well last year. Rodgers caught a hot streak last year and getting better and better with his targets last year. And he just had a hell of a season. And Mitch, what about you? How do you think Green Bay's going to face this year?
I'm going to be honest with you. With everything going on right now, I think Green Bay's got the odds-on favorite line to the to the NFC title, or at least their division. There's something about Detroit that's just got me intrigued with Dan Campbell, Motor City Dan Campbell up there, and the attitude he's bringing to Detroit. And now they got Jared Goff up there. I think if they make some key pickups, I think Detroit might surprise everybody.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, trading away your longtime starting quarterback in Matthew Stafford for years and years and years.
And your number one wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's the only thing about this Detroit LA trade that has me intrigued is which quarterback is going to do better this year. And we'll get to that eventually down the line when we get to the NFC West later on tonight. And the next thing I want to bring up is Sweet Home Chicago, the Chicago Bears. How do you guys think they're going to do this year? I mean, they had a up and down year last year. And I'll start out with you, Sean. How do you think Chicago is going to fare this year?
Chicago, you still got your constant of Allen Robinson, but besides that, who do you really have to catch a football? Right. Even if you have Andy Dalton out there, or if you throw the rookie to the wolves of Justin Fields, who do you have that can catch the ball besides David Montgomery out the backfield? If you get Tariq Cohen back healthy, maybe. But other than Allen Robinson, you really have no hope in that offense.
Right. I mean, Mitch Trubisky last year really struggled for Chicago. I mean, there were times, yet again, he was having a pretty good season. He was consistently throwing the ball at times, and then there were times he was struggling. Todd, what about you? How do you think Chicago's going to fare this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think quarterback-wise, they'll probably be a little bit better off this year. But kind of like Sean said, even if they have the best quarterback, who's going to catch it? And defensively, year in, year out, they're always pretty good. But are they going to be able to score enough points? It's going to be the question to win ball games, and I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
Right, because then we all know that in the NFL, it's all about scoring them touchdowns these days in the past 10, 15 years. Kevin, what about you? How do you think Chicago's going to do this year?
Like he said, man, the defense is there, but I've never seen a defense only give up like 6 to 9 points a game. And that's honestly probably what they're going to have to do if they want any chance, because their offense is bottom tier at this point.
Yes. I mean, Dalton under center in Chicago this year.
And you've seen what he's done in Dallas with the weapons he had.
You can have all the weaponry in the world and still not do great. And that's the thing about Chicago, man. Chicago is like Philadelphia fans. They are very passionate about their football teams. And if Dalton does not do good, I'll say this in the first 4 games of the regular season, the Bluebirds are going to be in full force in Chicago, and they're going to be wanting Fields to be the starting quarterback because he was their number 1 pick their number 1 first draft pick in the first round as the 11 overall pick this year.
Yeah. I don't even think it'll go 4 games into the Bluebirds coming out. I think after your second, early into your third game, Steven, if Andy's not performing the way the fans and the team think so, yeah, there'll be a lot of pressure to put Fields into the game, without a doubt.
That's a good point. Mitch, what about you?
I think you're going to see Fields a lot sooner than everybody's expecting. I was just reading an article from 8 hours ago that Coach Nagy from the Bears has plans to play Justin Fields longer than usual in the team's preseason debut. So I got a feeling they're really looking at maybe him being the starter right off the rip. And don't forget, they've also got Nick Foles as well. And we've seen what he can do coming in as a backup.
Man, what he did for Philadelphia in 2018, man, that was magical. I mean, and then when he came to Chicago in the playoffs the next year, it was Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia. I had that mixed up because they were playing Chicago. I mean, the Magic again in Philadelphia that year, and they beat the Bears in that wild card game when Parkey missed the field goal. And then we're going to go to the Minnesota Vikings, man. Every time Kirk Cousins has had good games for Minnesota the last couple of years, and it happened again last year. He was good at times, and then he struggled a lot. And I think Vikings fans have had their feel of Kirk Cousins as their starter, and I think that they want him to prove his worthiness this year. And I think, honestly, this is a make or break year for Kirk Cousins as a starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to start out with you first, Mitch. How do you think Minnesota is going to fare this year?
A lot of it's going to be who can stay healthy.
That is true.
If they get plagued with injuries like they have been in the past, they don't stand a chance. No, it's you're going to have Cousins stay healthy. Dalvin Cook is going to have to stay healthy. The receiving core is going to have to perform. It's just a matter of whether or not they don't get snake bit by the injuries.
That's the problem, because Dalvin Cook at times last year was great for the Vikings, and he's one of the top 5 running backs, in my opinion, in the NFL. When the guy's healthy, the guy is a monster on the field. He's very good at running, and he knows how to play his role. Todd, what about you? How do you think Minnesota is going to fare this year?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Definitely, they're going to have to stay away from the injury bug because they don't have much depth. It doesn't seem like anywhere across the board on either side of the ball. And they'll find out real soon because if I'm not mistaken, they open up with the Chiefs on the road right out of the gate. So that ought to help set the barometer of how their season may or may not go.
Absolutely. Kevin, what about you? How do you think the Vikings are going to do this year?
I think, like you were saying, it depends on their health, and also to me, it depends on Kirk Cousins' arm, because I've watched them beat a healthy Green Bay team, just run over them, and that's with Kirk Cousins playing good. But then I've seen the bad Kirk Cousins this year, it's no excuse. Like, you got a rising superstar in Justin Jefferson. You've got a superstar, and you still got Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, a solid defense. So there's no excuses. This is Kirk Cousins on his shoulder. This is all up his shoulder.
And every time that Thielen has put up monster numbers, Kirk Cousins put up monster numbers, and Cook has put up monster numbers over the past couple of years, they've won their games for the most part. The thing about it is Kirk Cousins has to be consistent for this team. Their defense can only do so much. They can only stop the teams, but so much and hold them under 24, 25, 30 plus points, all that stuff. I mean, the Vikings defense is a good defense, and it's going to be one of those things this year. It's going to determine their season this year is squarely on Kirk Cousins' shoulders. If they're going to go 10-6, it's all on him. If they're going to struggle and go 7-9, it's totally on him, because he is the reason why they have won or lost games, even when his players have played at a high superstar caliber level. When Cook gets 200 plus yards, when Thielen gets 100 plus yards receiving, I mean, they've done their part. Cousins has thrown for 200, 300 plus yards, won and lost games. It's going to be all determined on how Cousins played this year. And I'm telling you, just like with Chicago fans, just like with Philadelphia fans, I think Minnesota fans are pretty passionate myself, saying that, because the fact that they are very passionate about their football team. And if he's not going to be doing good, Vikings fans are going to be full throat saying bench him, because he's not performing at the caliber of the money that you paid this guy a couple of years ago. Because if Cousins wants to be considered one of the elite top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League, he's got to practice harder. Even if he loses the game, he has to practice even harder and be determined that I don't care how I play in the last game. It's not going to deter me from having a hell of a year this year. Sean, what about you?
Steven, if they bench Kirk Cousins, who are they going to?
That's the problem.
You're going to go to the rookie they just drafted with Monens?
That's the problem. That's the problem.
So this is what it's going to – it's all going to squarely come down to Kirk Cousins. They retooled the whole defense. It's back. They got rid of the old personnel, brought in all the brand new personnel. They're ready to roll. It's going to be a top 15 defense. Where in that top 15, we don't know yet. We haven't seen them work together. You have Justin Jefferson, 1,000-yard receiver on one side. You have Thielen. You have another 1,000-yard receiver.
Yep.
You got another guy lining up behind Kirk Cousins that can catch 100 balls at running back and also run for 1,500 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's also got his tight end, Irv Smith Jr., who's been doing great in camp. They're trying to open up the middle of the field. There is no reason that they couldn't contest with Green Bay unless Kirk Cousins drops the ball. It's plain and simple. They gave him guaranteed money like he wanted. He wanted a 100% guaranteed contract. They gave him a 100% guaranteed contract. But now you have to earn it.
Remember when that game a couple years ago when they faced Green Bay on Monday night, and they had an opportunity to put a stranglehold or to have a chance to win the NFC North division against Green Bay, because Green Bay was struggling that year, folks. Remember that. And just the fact that Cousins had a great year that year, and that one game screwed their entire chances up of winning the division possibly.
Yep.
Now we're gonna move on to the rebuilding since 1957 Detroit Lions.
Woohoo.
Where do we even begin? I mean, Matthew Stafford is now gone like a freight train. He is gone to the Los Angeles Rams in the offseason this year. Man, Detroit had a terrible year last year. And unfortunately, like the song goes by Aerosmith, it's going to be the same song, same old story, same song and dance this year for Detroit. They're going to be dead last in the NFC North division. So I don't think it's a question, but we'll make this quick. Todd, how's Detroit going to do this year?
Well, I agree. I mean, I don't know what the organization and certainly the fans, if they're thinking this way, what they think they're going to get different with Goff behind center versus Stafford. I think Stafford's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I don't think Goff's going to change anything in that position. They didn't really seem to get any better across the board. So, yep, they're going to probably hang out in the cellar where they've been for the last several years.
Yep. Kevin, what about you?
They're dead last. They're just gonna be dead last. They hope for the best. I know you don't want to tank, but at this point, they need to hope for a top 5 pick and start rebuilding brick by brick until they can get some pieces they can work around. Other than that, I don't see them winning more than 4 or 5 games.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Mitch, what about you?
See, I'm probably the lone dissenting opinion here. I think Dan Campbell's got the mentality in Detroit shifted around, and his whole mentality is I want him tough enough to bite somebody's kneecap off. And I think he might have instilled that mentality in the players and give them enough fire that they may surprise a lot of people. I mean, I'm not optimistic about it, but I think they got a shot to surprise some people.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And Sean, what about you? How do you think Detroit's going to do this year? That's all you needed to say, brother. That's it.
Kenny G's gone. Stafford's gone.
That's it.
You have a quarterback who can't throw from the pocket.
No.
You don't have an offensive line that can block.
No.
Even though Dan Campbell's from the Saints, and I love him dearly, he inherited a dumpster fire, a trash.
Can I get an amen in the back of the room, please? Oh, my goodness. Oh, the pathetic Detroit Lions. I'm sorry. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the NFC South. Boys, this is going to be one of those years. I'll say it right. Okay, we're going to start with the Super Bowl defending champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, God is right. Yes, he keeps on winning those damn Super Bowl rings, boys. Tom Brady last year, once again, wins now his 7th championship. And everybody's like, oh, how do we stop Tom Brady? It's simple, but it's hard to do. Beat him. That's how you do it. Defeat the great Brady. I know we are sick and tired of Tom Brady, except for Mitch, because he's been a Patriot fan and now a Buccaneer fan. So wherever Brady goes, I bet you that's where Mitch goes.
No, correction. I've always been a Buccaneers fan. I became a Patriots fan as my secondary team because there for a while the Bucs weren't in the conversation, and when it got to the offseason or postseason, so I had to have a team to root for.
Right.
Mitch, is that because you didn't want Atlanta to win the Super Bowl when New England was playing? Is that what started it?
No, I liked the Patriots well before that. Matter of fact, I was actually at a Super Bowl party that year, and I was the only Patriots fan there, and every Atlanta fan was giving me shit the entire game.
That's the only time
all
I've
I could
ever
say
rooted
is,
for the Patriots.
all I could say is, it ain't over till it's over. And then all of a sudden the comeback started, and everybody got quiet, and I got loud.
Yeah, all I can say is 24-3.
Yep.
Absolutely. Man, that team did this past year was they were struggling last year, and they finally hit their stride. And I really think I'll ask you guys this before we get to how they did this past season. I think the turning point for Tampa Bay last year was their game against Kansas City, because Kansas City was destroying Tampa Bay in the first quarter. Tyreek Hill, I forget how many receptions, like 7 receptions for like 200 plus yards or whatever it was. And he had 2 touchdowns on 2 catches. And it was insane. And they held him to a few less catches in the second half. He still had over 200 yards. But the fact that they held him to not a lot of receptions in the second half, that right there, because they were getting destroyed. They were losing like 24-3 or something like that. And then Tampa Bay just came back. They came back, and I really think that is what got the momentum of them going this past year. And obviously they went on in the playoffs to defeat the Washington football team. And then they went on to defeat, sorry, Sean, your New Orleans Saints in the divisional round. And then they went on to defeat Green Bay in the first rant that I had on this sports show back in February. That game still grinds my gears. The fact that Rodgers did not go for it on 4th and goal from the 8-yard line. I will keep preaching this until the cows come home. I mean, my God, they had one opportunity, one chance in life to get to the biggest game of all time, the Super Bowl, and they blew it. Well, I'm sorry, Rodgers blew it because ultimately it was his decision to go for it or not. And it's Tom Brady. It's the NFC title game back in February, and it still gets into this very day. But they defeated Green Bay in that game, and then in the Super Bowl, I predicted it, but I predicted it to be a close game. They defeated Kansas City 31-9. It was a butt whooping from up and down the field by that defense. Patrick Mahomes did not stand a chance. And Rob Gronkowski, God bless you, brother. He came out to play his best game of this past season in the Super Bowl, catching 2 touchdowns from Tom Brady. And Brady obviously won his 5th Super Bowl MVP that year. So, with that being said, how do you guys think Tampa Bay is going to do first? And I will start this time with the biggest Saints fan I know, Sean. Sean, how do you think Tampa Bay is going to fare this year?
You're going to make me say it, aren't you? They're going to come in second in the division.
Oh, my God. Hot take. Hot take.
Wow.
Mark it down, folks. August 12th, 2021. Sean from New Orleans says Tampa Bay is going to be second place. Now, Sean, I'm going to give you the floor right now. Give us on here in this room and everybody that is watching live on the World Wide Web on YouTube. Why do you think Tampa Bay is going to be second? And do you actually think that you New Orleans Saints have a chance, a hope, a prayer to be the top seed in the NFC South? Go ahead.
No, I don't think they have a prayer. No, Tampa Bay will be first. It will be. The defense is there.
You're pulling our leg. What the hell is wrong with you?
Well,
because all my LSU players, they got Fournette.
I was going to say, yeah, we finished second last year in the division. New Orleans finished first, but
the only reason you won that is because Jared Cook fumbled a wide open pass that was going to go for a touchdown.
Hey,
y'all shouldn't even have beat us. We beat y'all twice in the regular season, but now we're Drew Breesless. We lost the Breezes.
But you got Jameis.
Oh, yeah, who gets tackled by tackling dummies in practice. Yes. The defense is still there. Quarterback and wide receivers is going to be the issue. Traquan Smith came back today. But this is about Tampa. Y'all are retooled, re-weaponed, reloaded. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Godwin, Fournette, Ronald Jones, O.J. Howard's still there, I believe, with Gronk, with Tom Brady, and that offensive line. Do you really even need to put a defense on the field at that point?
Well, yeah, that's the thing about the defense. The secondary is like we're hoping to be able to step out of the Brady shadow this year and get some respect. So you got a pissed off defense that's wanting for respect too.
I know one thing. If you piss off Devin White, that's a bad day. I've seen what happens when Devin White's pissed off. Firsthand.
Kevin,
that's a bad day.
Kevin, how do you think Tampa Bay is going to fare this year as the defending Super Bowl champions? Do they have a chance at getting back to the Super Bowl?
I do, because I think they're going to finish first in the division. I think that defense right now, overall, they're coming off of a game where ain't no defense done Patrick Mahomes like he was just done in the Super Bowl. So that already boosts their confidence, on top of having very good players, including like Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr. in the secondary. Like, he just made Tyreek Hill look horrible. So I think it's going to be Tampa going to finish first in that division.
Absolutely. I think so too. I think they got a good chance of getting back to the Super Bowl. Todd, what about you? How do you think the Bucs are going to fare this year?
Yeah, kind of like what Sean said. Especially with the Saints being without Breeze now. Listen, if anybody can maintain the team, it's Sean Payton, great coach. But Tampa Bay is so loaded, both sides of the ball. special teams. I mean, like, it's just hard to find a weakness. And then they're in a conference that the other teams didn't really do anything to improve themselves during the off season. So they should, I won't say walk through the conference, but it shouldn't be hard at all. I could easily see them back in the Super Bowl without a doubt.
I agree. I'll go to Mitch. What about you? Do you think? Do you think?
Yes, I do. I think I think they're going to be number one. I think they're going to win another Super Bowl. I think Brady.
Oh my God.
Brady made the comment. I got 10 fingers. My wedding ring is on one, and I got 7 rings. That means there's still 2 more rings I can get.
My God.
And he's happy in Tampa. And they're just constantly adding weapons. I got a feeling we're going for a 3-peat after this year.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. Y'all aren't even going to get past the Rams this year.
Okay. We'll see.
No
We'll
way.
see.
God.
Matt Stafford's taking y'all down.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Everybody said Mahomes was going to take us down too.
Oh.
Mahomes needs a haircut.
and these are better choices with his freaking steak. Well done, and fucking ketchup. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. Oh dear, sweet baby Jesus. Last year, Atlanta, they did their best thing they know how to do, and that's blow freaking games. And they did it again this past year. Congratulations, Atlanta, at being the greatest team in NFL history to give away games in the fourth quarter or overtime against Detroit, against Chicago, and against the Cowboys. My God, Atlanta struggled last year. Matt Ryan at times looked pathetic behind that offensive line because nobody was blocking for Matty Ice. He was Matty Ice for a reason. He was ice cold as ice. And he was not doing hardly good last year. The defense struggled at times when Matt Ryan was putting up 30 points and giving up 38, 40 points. The defense is terrible. Hell, I think their defense is going to finish dead freaking last in the entire NFL. Mark it down right now. Atlanta's defense is pathetic. They are pathetic, and they are headed for once again a top 5 draft pick in next year's draft in 2022. Okay, so starting out with Kevin. Kevin, how do you think Atlanta is going to fare this year?
In the basement. They're gonna be competing with Carolina for the worst of the division.
Yes. Oh my God, Todd, what about you? You know this division pretty well.
I do, and I mean, off and on through the years, especially before we had the Titans, being in the South, Falcons were kind of obviously one of the teams I pulled for and stuff. And I don't know that I've ever felt as sorry for a human being as I did Arthur Blank as he was standing over on those sidelines. What he thought was going to be, a celebration for the Super Bowl, and then have it just yanked from him. I just can't imagine the emotions going through that man's mind in those moments. But you know what? A lot of it falls on him. So they're pitiful. They're just pitiful. And
they're pitiful. They're absolute terrible. Let me tell you something. They're really terrible.
They're terrible. Terrible.
Mitch, what about you, Atlanta? What do you think?
I think they're in a rebuilding year. I think they're kind of chalking this year up as let's just get through it, get another high draft pick, so that way we can continue to rebuild. I think they made a good pickup with Kyle Pitts. This year.
Nice pick.
I don't think we'll see Matt Ryan back in Atlanta after this year. I think they're going to get through this year, unload Matt Ryan, because after they get through this year, it saves them a lot of money with the salary cap and everything. I could very easily see them taking a top quarterback in the draft next year and just try to build from the ground up.
Absolutely. Sean, how do you think Atlanta is going to do this year?
I feel like the Detroit Lions are going to win more games than the Atlanta Falcons are going to win.
You know what? I'm actually going to agree with that.
Matt Ryan sucks. The whole Dirty Birds, they suck.
Oh, my.
The coach, he sucks. The fans. Some of you guys are cool.
Mm-mm.
The whole team sucks.
The traffic in that city sucks.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I was about to have a heart attack. I thought I was having a heart attack in 2017 when I went to Atlanta to see Metallica, Avenged Sevenfold, and Volbeat. Them people in Atlanta cannot drive worth they damn. Oh my God. It's the worst traffic I've ever been in my entire life. Worse than Raleigh, worse than Charlotte, and it's worse than Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Oh my God.
And the sad thing
Try
about
going
it,
to
it's been
Camp
that way for the
Beauregard.
last 30 years.
Try going to Camp Beauregard. It's like an hour away from Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's where I went to infantry school at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it sucks.
Atlanta's traffic is horrible. Absolute horrible. Okay. Next, the Carolina Panthers. Where do we even begin with this one, fellas? Last year, once again, they struggled in that division last year. Inconsistent, up and down the entire year. And this year, they get Sam Darnold from the Jets, Jets. Okay, so I think, in my opinion, I think Carolina is an interesting team this year because Sam Darnold is in a very unique spot this year. He's in new territory. He's not with the Jets. He was not going to succeed with the Jets. I think he's going to have an okay year. I don't think he's going to be as bad as Matt Ryan this year. I think that he'll have an okay year. So I think they're going to finish. Let's see. I'm going to say 5-11. So, Kevin,
Really?
how do you think Carolina is going to do this year?
I would agree with that record. I'd actually go on the verge of giving them 6, depending on CMC's health, because CMC's proved he's a bad man at running back. But with the offensive line, they did not get what they needed in the offseason. They didn't reamp their offensive line to be able to protect their quarterback or to even protect McCaffrey. So that's interesting to see. But I'm optimistic about Sam Darnold. Hopefully, because he left the Jets, maybe he's got an opportunity to revamp his career and do something.
Absolutely. Sean, what about you? How do you think Carolina's going to do this year?
I'm going to give him 6 games. I'm not going to lie. I wanted Sam Darnold to come here and be the Saints quarterback. You have CMC, you have DJ Moore, you have Robert Woods, what's his name? Robbie Anderson. I'm sorry. Robbie Anderson on the outside. I mean, you have a decent offense. I mean, as long as the defense could put up some deeper things, they'll be in almost any ball game that they contest in.
Absolutely. Ty, what about you? How do you think the Panthers are going to fare this year, and how many games do you think they're going to win this year?
I mean, without looking at their schedule, 5. I mean, not many. They're not going to win much. I mean, and I hate it for Stafford. I agree with earlier what was said about getting away from the Jets and hopefully revamping his career, but the Panthers wouldn't be the place that I would choose to be the place to ramp a career. But you've always got McCaffrey, who's one of the best players in the NFL year in, year out, but he can't do it by himself. And they didn't do a lot in the offseason. It didn't seem like to gain a lot of momentum on either side of the ball. So 5, maybe 6 wins at best.
I agree. And Mitch, what about you? How do you think? What do you think?
I think they'll get about 5, maybe 6 games, like everybody else is saying. Okay. And I think we're also in another situation where, while yes, they brought in Sam Darnold, I think PJ Walker is kind of the guy to watch because he's picking up a lot. And there's already reports that Darnold is struggling in OTAs and stuff. So I think you got to watch PJ Walker and even Will Grier, who's the third string. I mean, they got a couple good backups that can plug in if Darnold starts struggling. So, I mean, it's one of those things where we're going to have to watch and see. They could decide to, make a change, put PJ Walker in, and it's a whole new ball game because there's no telling what he can do with an offense. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
Absolutely. And then we move on to Who Dat Nation. New Orleans Saints. Last year, it was the final season for one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to play in the NFL, Drew freaking Brees. And he had a pretty solid season last year for New Orleans. He did Drew Brees things for the majority of the season, and then they met Tampa Bay. Before we get to that, they dominated Tampa Bay in the 2 games in the regular season this past year. And then surprisingly, because I picked them. I know Sean did, and I know Kevin did, and I'm pretty sure you, Mitch, and I know you probably did too, Todd. We thought that New Orleans was going to beat Tampa Bay and go to the NFC Championship game, but obviously that didn't happen. Drew Brees threw 3 interceptions, and Tampa Bay capitalized on those turnovers in the divisional round and then went on to defeat the Saints at least by 14 points. And Drew Brees announced his retirement. I mean, I remember that game very vividly because he was looking at the crowd. He was just, staring at the crowd, and you could tell that was his final game playing in the Saints uniform. So with that being said, New Orleans is in a rebuilding phase right now, and they have 2 choices. 2 choices at quarterback: Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. So first, we'll start out with this. How do you think they're going to do this year? And who is going to be the better quarterback for this team having a consistent year as far as playing good? So with that being said, Kevin, you're up first. How do you think the Saints are going to do this year? And who is going to be having the better starting quarterback season for the Saints this year now that Brees has retired?
I know I've been one of the biggest critics, but I feel system that he was 60 in their system because they took Teddy Bridgewater. They won the games they needed to win, and then he goes to Carolina and flat out sucks. So it's something about Sean Payton and the offense that's going to help boost Jameis Winston and cut down on all of his turnovers, and you got a pretty good quarterback.
Oh no.
Yes. I mean, Winston a couple years ago with Tampa Bay, his stats were crazy. 33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. And that is the problem with Jameis as the starting quarterback for New Orleans to me. I think if Jameis wants to have a consistent year, he needs to prove to not only himself, but his entire football team that he can rebound from the years that he had a couple of years ago with the Bucs that led to his exit from Tampa Bay and Brady taking over and winning the Super Bowl for the Buccaneers last year. Todd, how do you think the Saints are going to fare this year, and who do you think has the better chance at being the starting quarterback and being good this year for New Orleans?
Well, yeah, I think they're probably going to be better than what all of us think overall. I don't think they're going to scare anybody winning the division, but they're going to push for it. Winston's your quarterback. If I've thought in the past, like if Taysom Hill is any other team in the NFL, is he playing in the quarterback position? And I would say no. I think it's something that Sean Payton's just good at. Listen, he's a freak athlete. He can do a lot of things, and he's a very good asset to any team. But I just don't know that he's your starter week in, week out. Sean may disagree, but and I think Winston is better than what he showed a couple of years ago in Tampa Bay. So just have to wait and see. But if you get a consistent Jameis Winston, I think I think they'll be all right.
Mitch,
I think unfortunately you're going to see them hitch the wagon to Jameis Winston. And I think the only reason that Jameis Winston might have any kind of success is because of the running backs that New Orleans has now with Alvin Kamara and Devontae Freeman. I think everybody's going to be so worried about that running back duo that he's going to have some openings to throw the ball. Yeah. I personally, if I was there, I'd cut Jameis Winston in a heartbeat. I think he's the biggest failure to come out of college since Jamarcus Russell.
Ouch.
Wow.
Ouch. Okay, and Sean, what about you?
What the LSU crack, I promise.
Yeah, it was. Taking jabs. No, we're going to trade. No, mind. I'm not going to say that. We're coming second in the division. Defense will be top 15. You'll have Kamara. You got Latavius Murray. You got Deontay Freeman. Michael Thomas won't be back for week 6. You have Callaway and Traquan Smith. Still a lot of good pieces, but quarterbacks in the NFL, it's a quarterback-driven league. And
Yes.
my dad always told me if you're trying to work out 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
Exactly. So with that, and you brought up Michael Thomas, with him not being back until week 6, I'll ask you guys around the room as well. Kevin, how do you think Michael Thomas is going to do for New Orleans when he gets back from his injury?
I honestly feel like he'll end up being traded. I think they will give him what he wants and try to, if anything, try to get multiple picks for him.
Interesting.
Like multiple picks.
Interesting. Mitch, what about you?
I think eventually he's going to get traded. Apparently, there's been some reports that he's got some information that's going to change the whole narrative about the injury and why it's taken so long for him to have surgery and this and that. So I think there's too big of a rift there. I think he'll end up getting traded away.
Interesting. Todd, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you know what? I'm sorry. Yeah, I hate to. I've got to step away. My wife just came in, so I'm sorry. I'll be right back. So sorry.
You're good. So we'll move on to Sean. Sean, what do you think?
So Michael Thomas says he has this newfound information that's going to make everything okay with the injury. We just gave him $100 million. And you won't contact the team and tell them the information you have about this injury? Isn't that a little peculiar to anybody else? That he's ignoring phone calls and won't tell them about the injury in the offseason?
I agree.
Okay. We can't trade him this year. It's $34 million against the cap that we would have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Next year we could trade him and it cuts like $47 million off our cap. So if it's going to be done, it has to be done next year. But other than that, I just think it's deteriorating. It started last year with his attitude, and it just seems ever since we paid him, his attitude has gotten far worse.
Interesting. So with that being said, we're going to move on now.
Hey, Steve, let me interrupt real quick. Hey, guys, I really hate to do this. Y'all got one of my really good friends who I went to high school with, graduated with. They put him on a ventilator today. He's got COVID in the hospital, and he just took a turn. So I'm going to leave and go up to the hospital. So anyway.
Oh, man.
Apologize. I'll keep y'all updated, but hope y'all have a great rest of the show. All right.
Thanks, brother.
All right. See y'all soon.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
man. Thanks.
Oh, man. Oh, that sucks. That sucks terribly. So now we're going to move on to this week's topic and the second week of our 2021 NFL regular season previews. This time starting out with the NFC East. And oh boy, this is going to be one of those divisions. It's anybody's division to win. Anybody's division to win. Anybody can win this division. There is not a consistent team that has won this division in the last several years. It's either Dallas, the Giants, Philadelphia, and sometimes Washington. It does not matter. It is an inconsistent division. So we're going to start out with the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott last year went down with the injury that ended his season prematurely. And they struggled last year, obviously. Prescott in the offseason gets paid that 4-year, $460 million contract. Big money. Big money. So I think if Prescott can stay healthy, I think Dak can have a pretty freaking good year this year for the boys. And I'm not a Cowboys fan. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Neil. They are the biggest Cowboy fans I know. And
that is the biggest injustice of all.
Love it. Yeah. Ooh. So I think Dallas, like I said, if Prescott can stay healthy, they have a pretty good year. And in my opinion, and I hate to say this, I cannot believe I'm fixing to say this. I think Dallas is going to win the division. I'm not happy with the pick, but I think Dallas is going to win the division this year. So I'm not happy about it. Oh my God. I know I'm going to get killed for it, but I don't care. Screw it. Okay. So around the table, Kevin, how do you think, in Stephen A. Smith's words, as he always says, the Cowboys are a disaster waiting to happen? How do you think the Cowboys are going to do this year?
Exactly what you said. They're a disaster waiting to happen. Honestly, with as much talent as they have offensively, they have proven that they're just that bad defensively as well last year.
Oh, dear God, yes.
I feel like Dak deserves that money. I'll give him that. I'll give him his credit because after he went down, you've seen how pathetic their play has been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's over there throwing 400, 450 yards, but his defense is over there giving up 50 points. And Jerry Jones thought it was a good idea to pay them guys first, and it came back to bite him in the butt. But I'm not going to say they're going to win the division. They should win the division. That's the key word. They should. Going off the talent-wise they have offensively and Dak coming back, but they're a disaster waiting to happen.
Man. I don't, like I said, I do not feel good about saying that Dallas is going to win this year, the division, because they are inconsistent with all that great talent they have at the wide receiver position. And Dak is a good quarterback himself, and Elliott being a good running back as well. Mitch.
I think the more important question, honestly, is will a team that is above 500 win the NFC East this year?
That's a good point.
Because Washington won it last year at 7-9.
Mm-hmm. Reminiscing of the 2010 Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC West. That division right there in 2010 was god awful.
Yeah.
Them and the St. Louis Rams had a play to get in game. And that's the one thing about the playoffs, real quick, that really drives me crazy. You mean to tell me that a 7-9 team gets the home game against the team who had the better record in the Saints that year? Give me a break. Anyways, God. I mean, that division, you're right. You got a very good point. Who can win the NFC East above 500 and not below 500?
I think it's Dallas's division to lose.
Agree.
As long as Dak can stay healthy.
Until
Dak and Amari Cooper and Elliott, and their offense stays healthy. The defense actually decides to wake up and play some. I think that basically the defense has just got to get out of the way and let the offense win the games. I think, honestly, looking at that division, the only other team that might give them a shot would be Philadelphia, because New York's got its problems. Washington doesn't know what it wants to do half the time.
Oh,
what, Sean?
Look at the weapons Washington got, and they have a legit quarterback for half the season this year, and the defense they have. That defense is murderous.
We'll see. I mean, they only went 7-9 last year. So we'll see what they do.
Dwayne Haskins as a quarterback.
Honestly, I think it's Dallas's division to lose.
Yes. And Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Dallas's division to lose every year until they lose it every year. They have all the weapons in the world on offense. They can build a Power Ranger robot thing out of all the weapons they have.
What about a Megazord?
That's exactly what they got. They got CeeDee Lamb. They got Michael Gallup. They got Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, we can go on. They got everybody. And what do they do? Lose.
Come on, Megazord, power up.
The defense is putrid. The defensive line looks like they sleeping half the time that they're trying to rush the quarterback. I mean, I give them second place in the division.
Here's the question. Here's my question to you. Well, then if they're second, who's first?
Washington.
Haskins, is Dwayne Haskins going to do good this year for Washington?
Dwayne Haskins isn't there. He's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's right.
They got Fitzmagic.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So, with that being said,
they got Antonio Gibson. We got McLaurin. We got Logan. That defense is killer. And we got Fitzpatrick. They have a good core on offense with a decent quarterback to win first place.
So do you think, should they have kept Haskins last year? Because he was pretty good.
No.
Gotcha. So
I think Haskins is good where he is, being in Pittsburgh, to learn a couple years, because he has some growing up to do as a person with some of the things that he said to work his way out of Washington.
Right.
So he's good there. Give me a quarterback like Heineke who has a ton of heart. I'll take that over arm talent or some other things. You got brains and heart. You can win a lot of football games.
It's true. That's
Drew Brees proved that, because he couldn't throw it the farthest. And he wasn't the biggest person, but he had heart and brains. And
that's true. That is very true. Very true. So we're going to move on. We went through all of those teams in that division. Now we're going to go to the NFC West. All righty then, as Jim Carrey would say. All righty then. So Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson, top 10 quarterback. He has been so good for the most part these last 4 or 5 years. Dude is dangerous. Seattle struggled a little bit last year at times, and they lost in the playoffs, shockingly, to the Rams. How do you guys think? So I'll start out with you, Sean. How do you think Seattle is going to do this year?
8 or 9 games. I think we get the same roller coaster ride that we have last year, where we get MVP Russ, and then we get, man, I'm pretty good, Russ. The offensive line hasn't changed. Chris Carson's there, same running back. You still have Lockett. You still have DK.
DK is awesome.
And then you still have a defense that features 2 players, Bobby Wagner and Jamal Anderson, and then everybody else around them is okay. But I mean, is Russell Wilson going to stay consistent for a full year? Because when have you seen that?
Right. That's true. That's true, because every time he's had to run for his life and make plays, improvising plays with the offensive line, not blocking for him, there's been times he's been successful, and then there's been times where he's failed.
He's just an inconsistent player. It's a roller coaster.
Kevin.
I think Seattle, this is the year they finally, like that roller coaster, I think they start declining. The defense is not the Legion of Boom, don't get me wrong. Nope. But when you're safety, you're paying Jamal Adams that much money, and you're using him as a pretty much an outside linebacker / pass rusher. I want my safety to be able to get back and make plays. I don't want him rushing the passer, or I would have went out and signed Melvin Ingram or another defensive end that's on the market at the time. That's just, and their defense is slouching. They didn't get no O-line help for Russell Wilson. That's going to be a problem. And they got the receivers, and they got an okay running back in Carson, but the O-line and the defense, that might be their Achilles heel. As far as them playing, as well as them playing in the best division in football, in my eyes, you got to play the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals all twice. That's already going to be tough.
Mitch?
I think they're playing for second place at best. I think, they just don't have the cohesiveness of a unit to be able to fight against, teams like Arizona and Los Angeles and San Francisco. I think at best Seattle might squeak out of second place. But honestly, looking at this division and all the changes that have been made in the offseason, they could be looking at a basement slot.
So, with that being said, you saying Seattle's not going to be number one in that division. Who do you got to go in as the number one winner for that division?
I got to go with Arizona, man.
Interesting.
I think J.J. Watt's going to fire up that defense. I think the offense is starting to click finally. And I think Arizona's got a good chance to do it. I know Los Angeles is probably the odds-on favorite, but
To be the Super Bowl champions, yes.
No. They're not beating the Bucs. You can hang that up right now.
Yeah, they're not beating the Bucs. It is so hard for me to pick on this one because, I mean, on one hand, I want to say Seattle wins that division, but on the other hand, I got to go with either the Rams or the Cardinals. I mean, it's just it's so hard. They got all that talent on the offensive end as far as the receivers and the running backs pretty good, and Russ Wilson being the quarterback that he is. But you got to have that offensive line. We keep on preaching this on this show. You got to have an offensive line to block for your quarterback to give you time. So I'm going to say I'll save my pick after we go through all the teams. So we're going to move on now to the Los Angeles Rams. And boy, oh boy, talk about two different teams from last year to now. Goff, last year in LA, last year at the end of the year, after all their struggle, after struggling, and they somehow made it to the playoffs. They still made it to the playoffs and still got a win in the playoffs against Seattle at the end of the season when they lost to Green Bay in the divisional round, 34-17. Goff is now out, and Stafford is now in LA. And I think Stafford this year has a pretty good shot at being successful for the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to start out with you, Sean. How do you think LA fares this year with Stafford being under center?
I mean, we talked about like how the Cowboys have all the weapons in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So do they. All over the place, there's weapons on that football field for the Rams. And the defense doesn't – they lost one or two guys from last year, but that's still going to be a top 5 defense throughout the year. And then you still got Robert Woods, Kupp. You lost Cam Akers, but you have Darrell Henderson. And you still have not Higbee. It is Higbee. Tyler Higbee. And then, I mean, there's Robert Woods. I mean, there's just people coming out to yin-yang to score points for them. And Matt Stafford can deliver the ball to anybody, everywhere, all over the place.
I mean, think about this, too. You just said that about Stafford. I mean, Stafford in his last couple of years with Detroit when he was healthy, dude, he was playing his ass off for Detroit, putting up stellar numbers despite their team struggling, going out there and playing his heart out and just trying his hardest to get the Lions wins. And a lot of the times it didn't happen because the team was struggling in critical points of the game. Kevin.
Yeah, I think the Rams are still going to be good. I think they were the favorite to win the division, but I'm on a 50-50 with them. I'm not even going to pick them to win. I think it's going to come down to the last 2 or 3 weeks in the regular season because that right now, I mean, they took a pretty good hit recently over the last couple of weeks when they lost Cam Akers for the year with a torn ACL. Mm-hmm. They just lost the starting running back. Mm-hmm. That might could hurt them a good bit. And then they lost John Johnson III in free agency to the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. That takes another hit in their secondary. Despite they do have the best, most dominant defensive player in the world right now. I can see them winning, but I'm not going to give them a definite first place in that division.
Interesting. That's why this division is so hard to call because anybody in this division can win this division. It's the hardest division, in my opinion, to pick to win. Mitch.
I think they're going to have a good year. I think, again, they're going to be in the conversation for winning the division, but I don't see them going any further than that. I think once they start having to face teams like Tampa or New Orleans or Green Bay or, any of the other top echelon teams, I think they're going to struggle because they just don't have the depth that they're going to need to go into that deep water.
Absolutely. And now we're going to move on to the San Francisco 49ers. Man, that saying is so true. Super Bowl teams that get to the biggest game of the season, usually have the next year a Super Bowl hangover, and that tradition continued because, boy, Kevin knows this and I know this. San Francisco last year were bitten by the injury bug time after time after time. losing players each week to injuries, it seemed like, and they struggled. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'm not feeling super hot about San Francisco. I think they're going to be decent this year, but I'm not feeling as confident. Even though I'm a Niners fan, I'm not feeling super good about their season this year. I mean, can Jimmy G do something? Maybe, but they got the number 30 overall pick in the first round. And man, that's a nice pickup for the Niners with Lance. I mean, my God. I mean, that kid in his first couple of years was solid in college. Did not lose a game. And now he comes to the professional leagues. And I think if Jimmy G struggles, we're going to see the new quarterback get his chance at starting in the regular season. So I will start with Mitch. How do you think San Francisco is going to do this year?
It depends on the system they go with. If they do kind of like what Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes did when he came up and they kind of let Jimmy G play and kind of coach Trey Lance along and let him get some reps in certain game time situations and certain packages. I think they'll do very well running kind of like a two-headed offense. You know, Garoppolo is the pocket passer, Trey Lance to kind of do what he does. And I think it's a system that could work. I don't think they have enough sustainability for that. Sure. I don't think that it will last them very long, but I think it'll be long enough to let Trey Lance get his feet wet and get him underneath him and get him set. And then Jimmy G will probably end up going somewhere else next year. That's a good point because, I mean, Alex Smith's last year with Kansas City, he still had a good season for Kansas City. But Patrick Mahomes was right there behind him, learning the playbook for Kansas City. And look what that did for that young man. Won a Super Bowl in his second year. And in his first year, he won the MVP in the regular season. And then went back to the Super Bowl the next year after winning it.
Exactly. And that's a hell of a feat for Kansas City. And I think, that's a very excellent point you just made. I mean, because if Lance can study the San Francisco playbook this year behind Garoppolo, I think that Lance this year, he could learn a lot of stuff. I mean, with this system and the way Kyle Shanahan likes to run that offense. And I think if you give him at least a year to learn this playbook and the next year start him out, especially with the full training camp of, another training camp under his belt next year, I think that Lance could have a pretty good couple of years as the Niners quarterback. Sean.
What I would like to say is that Trey Lance sits a year and learns and practices. But I think by week 6, getting close to the trade deadline and stuff like that, that they trade Garoppolo and Trey Lance takes over. And then I'm really curious to see what the offense looks like, because what running quarterback and athletic quarterback has Kyle Shanahan ever really had to make his offense work?
Sure.
That's a good point.
Now, the question I have is, if they do trade Garoppolo, who does he go to?
I'm not going to say back to New England because they got Mac Jones. Where would Garoppolo go?
Where would Jimmy G go?
Oh, the Saints.
Ooh.
Say Minnesota.
I'll tell you this. If he ends up at the Saints with the weapons that you guys do have, I would then sweat that division as a Bucs fan.
Holy shnikey balls, really?
Yeah, because Jimmy, I'm a firm believer that New England's biggest mistake was letting him go.
Agree.
100%. And I think Belichick would love to have him back, even with Mac Jones. So
I don't know, man. It's interesting where Jimmy G could go. I mean, he could go to New Orleans, he's trying to, and like Kevin said, he could go to Minnesota. Who knows? And Kevin, you're a Niners fan just like myself. How do you think San Francisco is going to finish this year?
Barring injuries, I'm feeling pretty confident about them. Like ESPN has them at 11.5 wins over under. Whoa. With the Rams, the same 11.5. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. The Rams and the Niners, to me. And if that's the case, the last 2 years, even with the injuries, Sean McVay just cannot beat Kyle Shanahan. He can't. He gets out-coached. And I'm interested to see how Trey Lance is. Best case scenario for the Niners, Jimmy excels, stays injury-free, let Trey Lance sit all year. That's the best case scenario because that means we're winning. Jimmy's playing good. The offensive line's blocking. Jimmy's staying on the field healthy. And Trey Lance is learning. That's the best case. But that ain't always happen. That don't always happen like that. No. Trey Lance, I'd like to see him as a running quarterback in Kyle's system. I'm optimistic about it because let's face it, Kyle Shanahan has, to me, the best run offensive scheme in the game. Like you got wide receivers running like on jet sweeps that are through the offensive line, like through the guard and tackle, scoring touchdowns. You got tight ends running reverses. You got Raheem Mostert running for 200 yards on the Packers that year. Yep. Kyle Shanahan in that game pretty much said, we're not going to throw the ball. We're just going to run the ball right at you. I got different
That's the thing that gets me, dude. They had the running game. They were killing Kansas City in that Super Bowl 2 years ago. And that's what could have won them the game.
They stopped and started throwing the football.
Oh, my God.
That's bad play calling, but yet again, the offensive scheme is really good for them. As long as Mostert can stay healthy, JaMychal Hasty can come in and get some touches. I like Trey Sermon, who they picked up in the fourth round from Ohio State.
Yes,
I like
fourth
that
round.
pickup too. Yes. And I like the defense. They're gonna. To me, even last year there was a top 7 defense in the league with all the injuries because Fred Warner, probably one of the top 2 or 3 linebackers in the league, deserves his money. You got Nick Bosa coming back from his ACL, said he looks healthy as he can be. The only thing I want to see how DeMeco Ryans does, and if he keeps the same defensive system as Robert Saleh did before he left, because Robert Saleh had the best pass defense in the league, arguably, between pass rush and pass defense. And then you let him go to the Jets, and I'm interested to see how DeMeco Ryans, how he takes over that defense.
That's very true. That is very true. I mean, I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to say. I mean, I could see San Francisco getting at least at best if they are consistent with their offensive weapons staying healthy and their defense staying healthy with Bosa coming back this year. I think they can be at least 10-6. But if they're not going to be consistent, I would say 8-8. I mean, it's just we'll have to wait and see with this team. And then we're going to move on. Oh, go ahead, Mitch.
I was going to say quick update. New England's up 3-0 on the Washington football team right now.
Yes. And before I forget, folks, and before we failed to mention this at the start of the show, preseason football has begun. There's going to be so many games basically coming up in the next several days on tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday.
And the Eagles are up 10-0 on the Steelers.
The Battle of Pennsylvania, as Mark's from New Mexico put in the Discord server. And before I forget, if you want to call into the show on our Nation Sports Show, you can go into the Nation's Corner Discord server at discord.gg/Nation's Corner. Inside the channel, inside the server, you're going to see a sports topic channel. That is where you can say, I want to call and I want to talk about something that we're talking about on the show, or if you got a question about your football team or whatever thing you're going to talk about in the world of sports, there's our Nation Sports Show voice channel. That is how you can call in to the show and give us your takes on the world of sports. And now we're going to move on to the Arizona Cardinals. And boys, they made some moves in the offseason, didn't they? Where do we even start? I mean, J.J. Watt dropping the bomb on the world back in February, signing that contract with Arizona, joining the Cardinals. And I agree with you, Mick. I think J.J. Watt is going to be the guy that picks up that entire defense and says, come on with me, boys, because that is the type of player, when he is healthy, J.J. Watt is the best at his position. The guy is that good when he is healthy. Yep. So I think Arizona, if they are consistent, see, this is why it's so hard to pick this freaking division. But I'm gonna start out before I get my prediction on the division. Kevin, how do you think Arizona's going to fare this year?
I'm interested to see how first they handle the Chandler Jones situation because he reportedly wants to be traded.
Yes, sir.
And before, what's my Xavier Howard from Miami wanted to be traded. There was rumors flying that Arizona was just going to trade Chandler Jones for Howard straight up, which I think that would work. But now Howard says he wants to stay in Miami, so I want to see what they can get for him if they trade him, if they just compromise and he's happy and stays there, because that could be a huge loss too, especially if J.J. Watt, like you said, if he stays healthy, which we know from previous years, T.J. Watt has took that spot as the best Watt brother there is right now. So it's interesting to see, can J.J. claim that position back? But then on top of that, to me, watching the division, I like Buda Baker. I like that kid. I think he's the best. He's the best safety in that division. He can cover tight ends. He can cover receivers. I like him, and I like the defense. If their run defense improves, Arizona's got a good chance to win I'd say about 10 games. I think they can win it.
That is rather interesting. Sean?
The Chandler Jones thing is a huge mark. I mean, because Chandler Jones been in the top 3 of sacks the past 3 years, very quietly. J.J. Watt, J.J. isn't what J.J. used to be. We all know that.
Yes.
Can Kyler Murray make another leap as a quarterback and make some throws? Because he missed some quality throws last year that would have won him at least 2 or 3 games. But he also made heroic throws like the one to DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, baby.
You lose Larry Fitzgerald, but you gain A.J. Green. Tit for tat there, pretty much. Christian Kirk. It's going to be a passing. It's going to be a passing team. I could see him. I mean, this division's stacked, top to bottom.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be a battle.
It's going to be a
but I see him winning 9, 10 games.
Interesting. Very interesting. Mitch?
I think Arizona's going to fight for it. I think a lot of it's going to be how they come together as a unit. If they can gel together and the pieces start clicking together, they have every tool to go very far and deep in that division. If they have issues and they struggle early, then it's an uphill battle the entire way, and hopefully they don't fold into themselves like they did last season. So it's one of those things. It's just a matter of which way they come together.
Exactly. And with that being said, I've been waiting for the past 25, 30 plus minutes to give my pick on who I think is going to win this division. And I have to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I think Stafford, man, he's going to bring some veteran, mentality to this team. I think he is the answer for the Rams. I think he's better than Goff, because let's be honest, boys, a couple years ago in that Super Bowl against the Patriots, he looked like a deer in the freaking headlights, did Goff. He looked like he woke up and had a nightmare. I mean, just my God, he was terrible in that game. And I think Matthew Stafford is the answer for the Rams this year. It just depends on how is the offensive line going to play this year, because as we all know, you could have all the top weapons on the offensive end, but that O-line has to block for you. And I think they have a pretty good shot this year at taking that division. And I think the Rams, let's see. I think the Rams are going to be, I would say 11-5. 11-5, top seed in that division. I think Arizona goes 10-6, and I think San Francisco, if they're not 10-6 and not playing consistently, I think they're going to be 8-8, like I said. And so that is those divisions, folks. And next week on our Nation Sports Show, we are going to be previewing the AFC North and the AFC South. So now let's move on to what we got going on also in the world of sports in the NBA. And Kevin, I know you've been following this with the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. Man, that dude, unfreaking real. What they're giving this dude and the money they're giving him. What are your thoughts?
He deserves it. He's the next face of the NBA. When LeBron James leaves, it's Luka's league. He is doing. If you haven't paid attention to the Olympics, he carried Slovenia. He carried them by himself to the coming up just short to France in the gold medal game, or to compete in the gold medal game. And triple double after triple double, plus what he does in the NBA, single-handedly beat the super team Clippers, literally single-handedly. Like the front office, Mark Cuban needs to get him some help. Actually, like all the other guys joining superstar teams and making super teams, get Luka a superstar. Get Luka Kawhi, if that was possible. Get Luka all these other superstars and see how many championships he wins with Jason Kidd there.
That's the problem I think Dallas had last year with Porzingis being inconsistent. Yes, at times he was playing good, but then when he struggled, the entire team struggled because him and Hardaway Jr. Now, Hardaway Jr., he's a solid player, in my opinion, for the Mavericks, and all that talent. But if Hardaway Jr. and Porzingis are not playing consistently behind Luka, Dallas goes nowhere, because without Luka, they were not going to be in that series. He had no doubt that he had the heart, that he had the intensity to carry that Mavericks team, and they almost did it, but it was not quite enough. Not quite enough. Over $207 million paid contract for this dude. And we'll see. We will see. Sean, what do you think of this deal with Luka for the Mavericks?
I think he's rich.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. I got dollars. $. No, he's a great player, face of the league. He's my favorite player personally, and he deserves every dollar. They just need to get him help. Mark Cuban needs to get the boy some players, and they'll be good to go.
I think so too. And Mitch, what about you?
I think Mark Cuban's a smart businessman. He sees he's got the future of the league on his team right now, and he paid him the money it was going to take to keep him there.
Yes. I think he deserves it too, because he's been one hell of a player these last couple of years for.
Now, Steven, is he the second coming of Dirk in Dallas?
Oh, that's an excellent question, because man, you know what? Ooh.
There's a question that I have for you. You have these players who they sign with the team and they end up staying for all these years and everything. But you never see these super long-term contracts like you saw in hockey. Like the guy that signed like a 20-year contract with one of the hockey teams. Do you think we'll ever see that in basketball?
No,
man. I mean, that's an interesting question. Is he the second coming of Dirk Nowitzki? Man,
Not.
I think he's the first coming of Luka.
Because of the way the league's set up, there's so many people trying to make super teams, so they sign these deals like LeBron's been doing since about 2013. These 2-year big contracts, opting out after the second year to save salary cap hit, then re-signing for 2 years. Durant did it for 2 years or 3 years in Golden State. Kawhi just did it with the Clippers this year. They just keep opting out to re-signing to save cap space to sign more players.
On one hand, I want to say yes, because he's that good of a player early on in his career, because Dirk early on in his career with Dallas, the first 3 to 4 years, he was excellent with the Mavericks, and he got better. Like they say, like a fine wine. Even though he aged, he got better and better. And obviously in his 13th year in the league, he defeated the Miami Heat. And Kevin, you and I watched that finals 10 years ago, baby. We watched Dirk and the Mavericks, take down the evil empire that was LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade, the Miami Heat super-duper team in the NBA Finals in 6 games. And boy, it was glorious. So And oh man, it's been so crazy in the NBA these last couple of weeks. And I know you guys were not on last week when we talked about this, but I'll bring it up. Kevin, you know this. Sean, you know this, and Mitch, you know this as well. Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook are now. Oh, God is right. They are on the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'll start with you, Kevin. How do you think LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and Carmelo, and I hate to use the term that the WWE always uses on their television shows, can they coexist? Can they help this basketball team?
It's a tag match?
Honestly, I feel like, I don't know if coexist is the right word, but I feel like Russell Westbrook will be better than Dennis Schroeder scoring 0 points in the playoffs.
Oh, dear God.
He'll at least give you 10 assists, maybe a couple rebounds, maybe a 20, 30-point game, but I just feel bad for Anthony Davis for how many rebounds he's got to catch between LeBron and Russell Westbrook shooting threes and missing all game. Because Westbrook cannot shoot. Westbrook is his name.
Thank you.
I feel bad that Anthony Davis is going to have to average 15 rebounds.
Oh, my God. I mean, he's having to work even harder now with this dude shooting all these damn jump shots. I mean, the guy can't even shoot a consistent jump shot. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? I mean,
I think Westbrook's got about 5 times to wave LeBron off and say, get out the way and let him ISO before LeBron decides to trade him.
Let's be honest. LeBron James he's the one. He's the master. He's pulling all the strings with these teams he's been on. I mean,
the thing, all Kobe wanted was Chris Paul, but LeBron ends up getting everybody.
Exactly. Kobe didn't want no super team. LeBron needs a super team because he knows. And Mitch, you have brought this up time and time again when you've been on this show. LeBron has to have these super teams because he knows. I know he knows. He does not want the pressure to be solely on his back because LeBron can't take the pressure. If LeBron James he is great. Don't get me wrong. But if he wanted to be a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan, he would have not been getting all of these super duper teams in the NBA when he was on the Miami Heat those years. And from 2011 or 2010 to 2014, winning 2 NBA finals, getting to 4 NBA finals with Miami, the years with Cleveland. Yes. Now, I'm not going to really call Cleveland a super team because Kevin Love, he was good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Kevin Love during 2016 in that finals, his play was starting to slowly decline. But Kyrie, what is a superstar in this league to this very day when he's healthy?
What I tell everybody now.
Now
that block might have been game changing, but Kyrie Irving's three is what put the points on the board to win.
Absolutely. I know Kevin remembers that game because for 6.5 minutes, nobody could buy a freaking basket in the fourth quarter. And Kyrie's three put him up 3 points, 92-89. And it was the game-winning shot over Stephen Curry. And that's the thing that Mitch brought up a couple of times.
And what did Stephen A. call that? So what did Stephen A. call that? He called that LeBron stimulus championship, where they suspend Draymond for the game 5, and jump it up to 7, and then Kyrie wins it for him.
That's right, because if Green did not get suspended in that final in 2016, Warriors would have won.
It'd been over.
It would have been over. And, that's the thing that Mitch has brought up on this show a couple of times, and Mitch has a point. Is LeBron really that great? I mean, that's an excellent question, because LeBron, once again, pulls his buddies to the basketball team that he's on right now in Los Angeles. And he has his buddy, Carmelo, who has not won a championship in his entire career. Carmelo, in my opinion, is desperate for a championship. And
I think Westbrook the same way.
Agree, because Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant had that golden opportunity in 2016 against Golden State in the Western Conference Finals to get to the NBA Finals for a second time in their franchise history, and Westbrook blew that game in Game 6 and Game 7. It was over. It was bound to happen. Golden State was going to win Game 7 no matter what, and that's the thing. This Laker team, I don't know, man. I really don't know.
Westbrook was their second choice. They wanted Chris Paul. But once Chris Paul signed with Phoenix again, they had to take Westbrook. That was their next big option. Now, is anybody going to be able to take the ball away from Russell Westbrook? Probably not. Unless LeBron's dribbling it off the court and you put Russell Westbrook, a 2-guard, small forward?
Something like that. I mean, LeBron playing all these different positions. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, this Laker team, I'm so confused with this team this upcoming year because I think it's going to take them several games to gel because you brought in Russell, you brought in Carmelo, and I don't know, man. I mean, you got Phoenix with Chris Paul coming back and all that
talent. Dwight Howard too.
Oh, and they bring back Dwight Howard. Oh, so I want to get my second championship ring with the Lakers.
Now, Steven, do you think this will be the same team that finishes the year?
No.
Oof. You know what? No.
I think LeBron's going to get injured halfway through.
Again. LeBron, I love LeBron, like his physique and his freaking nature, but he's 37. There's the human body can only take so much.
All right, let me rephrase what I said. I think LeBron's going to get injured again.
What about AD?
Huh?
The model of soft tissue paper of Anthony Davis.
There's no telling. I like to look back at the old days when you had, the Lakers, the Bulls, and the Celtics. You never saw massive trades like this, like stealing players from other other teams. It was like, okay, you beat us this year, beat us next year.
Right. I
mean, it wasn't picking up this player, that player every season. The team changed. It was, okay, you beat us. We're going to fight. We're going to practice harder and come back and try to beat you next year.
Think about it. Think about it. When back in the day with the NBA, you didn't have all these super teams. When the Detroit Pistons were whipping up on the Chicago Bulls in back-to-back years in the Eastern Conference Finals and knocking Chicago, having the hope and a prayer of getting to the finals for the first time with MJ. MJ said, you know what? I'm going to bust my ass, work hard in the gym with these boys, and we're going to come back in our third time against you guys, and we're going to win this time. And they did. And Detroit walked off the court when Chicago won the series to get to the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, and obviously Jordan and then won that final in 5 games against the Lakers. This is my problem with today's NBA. The fact that you have all of these players like LeBron. LeBron is the number one, public enemy number one on a silver freaking platter. He dictates who he wants to be on his basketball teams because he knows he cannot win a championship on his own. He knows he can't do it. He has to have that second guy win it. Mitch, go ahead.
Their jersey sales have got to be in the tank because, why would you buy a jersey knowing your player you buy for is going to be traded next week?
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. It's like, okay, who's the flavor of the week? So
especially LeBron, he like all the people he traded from the Lakers away. Look how successful they're doing at this point. That he kept Kuzma, who played like pure trash, but trade away Brandon Ingram, a 28-point-a-game scorer. Trade away Jordan Clarkson. Well, before he got there, Jordan Clarkson got traded, 6th man of the year. Julius Randle dipped out. He's the most improved player of the year, and LeBron rather have chose Kyle Kuzma.
I thought you corrected me, Kevin, because I thought they got rid of Kuzma last week. My bad. So you corrected me on that. But the fact
he did that with Westbrook trade. He did get rid of Kuzma.
Oh, he did. That's right. Okay, thank you. But it's like I don't know, man. This Laker team, I am so confused. I really am confused. The fact that LeBron continues to do this. You know what? I don't think the Lakers are going to be the top one of the top 2 teams in the NBA. I think it's going to be Phoenix and the Clippers.
Wow.
Oh, I know. And the Jazz. Those are your top 3 teams in the Western Conference once again. If this is why, I know, hot take. I know the Lakers this year, to me, they're going to be at best number 5, at worst number 7 in the Western Conference. Yet again, I just don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this team. I mean, it's just, I am so aggravated with the way LeBron has been acting in the offseason. I mean,
I don't think the Lakers will have a better record than Golden State next year, barring any injuries.
Barring injuries.
More injuries.
That's the thing.
Well, I mean, you saw Steph just signed a 5-year
between their
deal.
young core.
Yep. Curry with that 4-year deal.
Between their young core, they just drafted 2 solid players.
Mm-hmm.
And Clay comes back, right?
And then they brought Andre Iguodala back.
Oh, snap. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be
Iguodala back. I mean, he's not 6-man Iguodala, but he's still a veteran off the bench.
Veteran.
I still think nobody knocks off the Nets as long as they stay healthy, that the Nets are still the team to beat.
Yeah, if they stay healthy, that's the key. That is the key. And that's the thing that's why, in the NBA this past finals, I mean, Kevin, you were on with us back in June and we were getting close to the finals at this point. But, this past NBA finals, man, that was such a good series.
It was fun to watch.
It was
Those
so
were
refreshing.
homegrown players. Devin Booker was drafted and raised in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis been holding it down in Milwaukee for years. He promised he wouldn't leave till he got a championship.
And you know what? I think
Middleton was a G League player from Milwaukee on the come up.
Mm-hmm. And I think Antetokounmpo's here to stay with Milwaukee. He believes in that team. I mean, they had a hell of a team this past season with Holiday and Middleton and all of those players in Milwaukee, especially with Bobby Portis, with him being a lightning rod off the bench and a spark plug for that second unit. I mean, just a talented team. Brook Lopez starting at the forward, but then Antetokounmpo, and doing their thing. I mean, they had a great year, and winning the championship, and Giannis putting up those monster numbers in the finals. And Devin Booker, same thing with Devin Booker. Devin Booker was so good in the NBA finals. And I think Phoenix this year is going to come back a strong, hungry team. I think they are hell-bent on getting back to the finals. And I think they're determined because, I mean, Chris Paul finally got to the big dance. 16 years it took him to get to the finals. He came up short. But if you want to be great, you have to fail. And if you don't fail, to me, you're not going to succeed. Because in failure shows your true character and the mettle that you possess with the mental stability as a player. Because Phoenix, to me, is going to be the team that has a good shot at getting back to the finals this year in the West. And I think Milwaukee has a pretty good shot at getting back to the finals next year too. But like Sean said, Brooklyn is the key. If Durant's healthy, if Kyrie's healthy, if Harden is healthy, Brooklyn is a hard team to beat. But it's a team sport, and you can't just rely on 3 players. But those 3 players, when they're healthy, they are dangerous. And
the most dangerous they would be is I want to see 2017 Kevin Durant with 2016 Kyrie Irving and 2018 James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
If it ain't nowhere near that ain't as good as they can be.
Yes. And that's why Milwaukee beat Brooklyn in the semifinals in 7, because they depended on Durant so much in game 7, 48 points. Why didn't Harden step up? Because Harden didn't want to be responsible like LeBron. LeBron does the same thing just like Harden does. Harden does not want to be the reason why his team loses. I mean, every great player has succeeded and has failed. And everybody's not perfect. Michael Jordan did not hit every single game-winning shot for Chicago. He missed some. He made some. It's a make or miss league. And that's the thing. And speaking of Phoenix, as we all know from last week, Chris Paul has re-signed with Phoenix. And I think Chris Paul made the right decision. I think Chris Paul has finally found his home, a team that he can believe in, because Phoenix has a very good roster with DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker and Crowder and all of those guys. young, talented players.
He could have copped out and went to LA like you were talking about. He could have easily.
He could have.
He didn't.
But I think Chris Paul, I think he found his home. Mitch, how do you think Phoenix this year is going to do?
I think they're going to be back in the title picture. I think they got, between Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, I think they got a taste of it, and I think they want to bring it home.
I agree. Sean, what about you?
I think they'll get to the finals, honestly, again, where the Nets will be waiting, and it'll just be too much. But, I mean, Ayton, Booker, Chris, they have the talent.
That they do. And a hell of a coach. Dude's good. Monty Williams.
The funny part about that is that Monty Williams drafted Chris Paul here in New Orleans when we were the Hornets.
Yes, he did. Good call. Very good call. Kevin.
I think Phoenix, they got a chance to get back into it. I don't think their road is going to be easier than it got last year. Last year was all the injuries. They just kind of caked it on in there. I mean, I think they would have won regardless of the injuries. It just made it that much easier. Clippers team without Kawhi Leonard, they piece of cake. Paul George ain't good enough to carry that whole team on his shoulders. Same way it's Jamal Murray, him being out really excelled Phoenix. I think Phoenix would have beat the Lakers with or without LeBron and AD at that point.
Agree.
Whether they were healthy or not.
Mm-hmm.
This year you got Murray coming back. Phoenix have to go through the Clippers again, which was already tough. Golden State might be in the picture now with a healthy Klay Thompson if he can show up and not get hurt again. You got guys like that. You got Memphis who's coming up. Utah, if they wouldn't have just choked it up after having
a 25-point lead against the Clippers in Game 6.
Yeah. If they wouldn't have choked it up, they had a chance.
Man, I think I was playing music at the time, and I was like, let me look at the box score. I'm like, holy crap, they're killing the Clippers. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I'm like, wait, it's a 3-point game. I got to turn to this game. And oh my goodness, that Clippers crowd in Los Angeles was on fire, smoking hot. And Utah did not recover. That is why home court advantage is very important in professional basketball in the NBA, because that right there can make you, if you're on the road, if you had, as Mick Foley would say, the testicular fortitude to play your best. And then, on the other hand, it can break you because, man, when that crowd rose to their feet, defense, just chanting defense and screaming their heads off, Utah caved in under pressure, and they gave up, in my opinion. They didn't try hard enough. Because with the crowd going crazy like that, and the Clippers were trying so hard to fight for every loose ball because they knew they didn't want to lose that game because they were up 3-2, but you don't want to go back to Utah's home court for a Game 7. That's the thing, and the Clippers pulled it out. Utah blew a 25-point lead. Yes, Mitchell did good in that Game 6, but again, one player does not solve the problem. It is a team sport. And, it's going to be rather interesting this year in the Western Conference because any team in the West this year, if everybody stays healthy, it's a coin flip. Anybody can win. The Clippers, the Suns, the Jazz, the Warriors, like you said, Kevin, can somewhat get back in the picture if Klay is healthy, if Curry is healthy. If those two dudes are on their game, watch out. So I would like to ask, I want to switch gears.
I just want to know, we're talking about the NBA. Oh, I was saying, while we're speaking on the NBA, have y'all known how much crack Philly must be smoking what their asking price for is for Ben Simmons?
Okay.
It's
Kevin,
outrageous. they asked Golden State for both their first-round picks, Andrew Wiggins, and 2 more future first-round picks for a guy who can't shoot a free throw.
Oh, my God. Ben Simmons,
What?
to me, Ben Simmons is the most overrated point guard in NBA history. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it right there, folks. Ben Simmons, overall number 1 pick for Philadelphia. He is overrated. Is he talented? Yes. Hell, he's better than all of us doing this show right now. He's an athlete. We're not. But Kevin, I know you played sports as a teenager.
Go Tigers.
Had to get that in there. But Ben Simmons, point guard of a professional basketball team. He can drive to the basket. He can pass the ball, but he cannot shoot to save his freaking life. And dear Lord, Christ Almighty, he cannot shoot a free throw to save his life. Oh my God. I mean, I knew game 5 would have been in the balance for Atlanta if they did not keep giving the rock to Ben friggin' Simmons, because Ben Simmons, every time he took control of the ball, he either turned it over, shot a ugly jump shot, or an even uglier free throw. My God. I mean, Embiid was doing his damage from down under, 31 points, 13 or 14 plus rebounds. The guy was kicking ass down low and taking names. And Ben Simmons was turning the ball over. And Sam in Cleveland was on that show with me when we were talking about that infamous collapse in game 5. I mean, they only had 2 players scoring double figures. What the hell? I mean, come on. I mean, you can't rely on 2 players to win you a game. It's a team, T-E-A-M. And Ben Simmons is not the number 2 answer behind Embiid. He is terrible from the outside. He cannot shoot. He hesitates. If you hesitate shooting the jump shot, you're more than likely going to brick it like Westbrook, or as Kevin would say, West Brick. Thank you very much. So, oh my God. Get rid of the guy. Oh my God. Mitch, what are your thoughts on Ben Simmons?
He's a joke.
Damn.
Oh God, that's cutting to the chase. Kevin.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade a bag of rocks for him at this point. Philly's best option, when they had them rumors around surfacing about 2 years ago about trading him, that's when they should have done it, because his trade stock just went straight downhill. Now don't nobody want him.
Nope, not even Golden State.
I wouldn't take him. Steph Curry couldn't even help shoot his shooting for him. It's that bad.
Oh, I can picture.
Like, if he got into a game of, like, around the world, Shaq would go around the world 3 times before he'd make his first jumper.
Oh, my. I mean, yeah. I mean, Golden State doesn't even want that. They don't even want him. Hey, can you give us Andrew Wiggins? We're sorry, but you have a terrible point guard as your starting point guard in the NBA. I mean, come on. I mean, Ben Simmons he's lost his confidence, and I wish that the times that he has lost especially in the Eastern Conference semifinals against Toronto in 2019, game 7, he played his ass off. He had a hell of a game. Embiid did great. Butler did great. The team was a good team, but they were one game shot miss from Leonard. You know, that was a crazy game winner against the Sixers in that game 7. I mean, and then the next couple of years, I mean, Simmons, everybody said, Barkley said it, Stephen A has said it, Kenny Smith, Shaq has said it. Every NBA analyst has said that if Simmons wants to get good for Philadelphia, he has to work on his jump shot. He has to work on his free throws. And clearly he has not, because every time Philadelphia has needed him to show up in the big spots, he has failed. And like I said, with failure is going to determine how you are going to be in your downfalls. Can you get up on your feet and say, I'm going to dust myself off and get better and practice even harder to get better at my game? And clearly Ben Simmons has not done that. And it's sad. As a talented player as he has clearly not done that. And Philadelphia, man, I don't see Philadelphia being the number one seed this year. I said it on this show when they blew that series against Atlanta. Philadelphia is not the team that we thought they were. They're not the team that they claimed they thought they were going to be. And they thought that they had at that time. Their fans believed in them. But at the same time, the coach can give all the plays that he wants. Like Doc Rivers, hell of a coach. The team has to go out there and execute it. And I don't think Philadelphia this year is going to be, they'll be a top 4 or 5 seed in the East. I think they'll be number 3 behind either Milwaukee or Brooklyn taking the East top 2 seeds. But I don't know, man. It's going to be a rather interesting year with this year with these teams. Because it's going to be interesting. So I want to switch gears. And I know me and Mitch were talking about this past Saturday. UFC 265. Oh boy, down there in Houston. In the main event, hometown boy, Derek Lewis, had all the betting odds for him. The knockout game. 25 wins in his career, 20 by knockout. And he got knocked out. TKO. And now Gain is the interim heavyweight champion of the world after defeating Lewis in that fight. Mitch, what are your thoughts on that fight from Saturday night?
Derek Lewis went in there believing the hype of Cyril Gane and was fighting scared the entire fight. And he just didn't have enough faith in himself to let his hands go like he has in the past. And whenever your opponent hits you 112 out of 136 attempts and you hit him 16 out of 37, significant strike counts was 98 of 122 for Gane to 16 of 37 for Derek Lewis. So every shot that he landed or threw was a significant strike, but there just wasn't enough of them.
Right.
And I don't know. It was a very, very ugly fight. And I think Derek Lewis was legitimately fighting scared. He bit into the hype and he thought that, he was worried about letting his fans and his family down, I guess. And I don't know what all was going on, but I was highly disappointed in the results of that fight.
Yeah, it's because that fight looked so good. And Gane just dominated. Yep. He dominated. He made him look foolish in that fight.
Yeah, at least there were good fights on the undercard that made it worth watching.
Yes, agree. And Jose looked really good in his fight that night. Won by decision. He needed that win, in my opinion, because he was struggling in his last couple of fights, to get wins, and he was losing most of his fights, especially. I think that McGregor fight in 2016 kind of broke his confidence a little bit, but good for him. He got a good win on Saturday night.
The fight that really impressed me the most was Vicente Luque versus Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa, who is just a dominant submission wrestler and everything, and it's on a good streak since making the move and everything. And then Vicente Luque got him in that choke and just put him out in the first round, and it was like, holy shit, this dude just submitted Michael Chiesa, who is one of the guys you don't try to submit because he's that good at it. And Luque, he stepped up and he called out Usman.
He sure did.
And Kamaru kind of answered and said, hey, we might be dancing here soon. So that'll be a hell of a fight.
That was a huge win by Luque, because when he took on that fight on Saturday night, my God, he submitted one of the best pound for pound wrestlers in MMA right now. Yeah. And it's just very big win for him. And I think right now his title shot is coming very soon.
Oh yeah.
Very soon.
Yeah, and that Doris choke that he always seems to land, it just sneak in there. He put Tyrone Woodley out with it. He put a couple other guys out with it. And he's that damn good.
Oh yeah. I tell you, these pay-per-views have been really good these last couple of months for the UFC. It's been really good. Really good.
Oh God.
What's up?
Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz on September 11th in a boxing match.
Oh dear God almighty. Can we stop with this crap?
Good old Triller.
The greatest waste of promoting. Triller. Oh my God. Two MMA guys in a boxing ring? Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Talk about flirting with disaster. That's going to be a disaster all to itself before it even
How
happens.
old are those guys now?
Tito's got to be pushing 50.
Yeah, and Silva's got to be what, in his 40s?
Yeah, something like that.
My
It's
God.
like half the age of Elder.
Silva's 46.
Hopefully he knows how to use his blinker.
Use your blinker.
They're both 46 years old.
46 years old.
Really?
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. But oh my God, Kevin, what are your thoughts on this crap? I mean, this Triller thing is it's ridiculous.
It is. It's really getting funny to me. But hey, it might be better than watching a bunch of YouTubers box too.
Oh God, don't even get me started on that.
That's horrible.
Well, that's what started all this. That's what started Triller is the YouTubers. They needed somebody that would actually broadcast their dumb fights.
I mean, Nate Robinson got knocked out back in November. I think he's still laying on the canvas. I mean, my God. I mean, a basketball player.
Chad Johnson too.
Oh my God, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco.
Isn't your boy supposed to be fighting Tyrone Woodley here coming up?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and Ben Askren got knocked out, which he's famous for getting knocked out.
And that pay-per-view was a disaster to begin with because Oscar De La Hoya was drunk off his ass. That I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, drunk. That's what we're gonna call it, drunk.
That, you know what? I think that pay-per-view, they were all drunk because that pay-per-view was a waste of time. And I'm so freaking glad I didn't pay for that horse shit because it was that bad. It was that freaking bad. And I'm so tired of this Triller crap. And I know Hijacker is gonna agree with me on this. This is ridiculous. You have two MMA guys who oh my God. I mean, I want to go freaking bald just hearing this garbage. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean,
I will give credit to Jake Paul, Jake Paul, I guess that's the younger one. At least he actually signed with Showtime as a boxer.
I guess, whatever.
So, I mean, if he's going to make a legitimate run and fight some actual boxers, I'll give him a look, you know?
He came out with that interview, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, where he said he plans on fighting Canelo in 5 years?
Yeah.
Give me a friend. Yeah. Come on.
Canelo,
tell you what, you can have all your fun and games on YouTube. Canelo don't play games.
Canelo
don't show up no. Canelo shows up because he wants to murder people.
Well,
Canelo don't play.
The thing about this is it all started because Logan Paul wanted to fight Conor McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
He can fight Conor McGregor. I mean, McGregor is pretty much a circus at this point.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm very intrigued to see what happens.
Money and leaves.
I'm very intrigued to see what happens when McGregor gets medically cleared to come back. Because I think you've never seen a shit show like it's fixing to happen if you put him and Dustin Poirier back together.
Oh my God. It's going to be, you know what? And I'll say this right now. You know, we talked about this back in June as well. And when we were talking about this, and Ezra brought up a good point during that show with the UFC. The UFC, they say they try to treat themselves as a legit sport. But how can you treat yourself as a legit sport when you're giving it's going to happen? We know it's going to happen. McGregor, a fourth fight against Poirier. Who the hell wants to see that train wreck again? I mean, if it was a trilogy, fine, whatever. That's always happened.
Here's the thing.
I thought he was having him and Cormier were having some spits and spats.
Who, McGregor or Logan Paul?
No, McGregor and Cormier.
No, one of the Paul brothers and Cormier were going back and forth.
Oh, is that what it was? Did I misread that? Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it all depends on what Poirier does while McGregor's away. If he goes and he loses again and he drops down, I could see them putting those two back together. Because especially the way the third fight ended.
They're going to run that back. They're going to run that back because of how it ended.
Yeah, the way the third fight ended, you almost have to run it back. I mean, there was no clear winner other than the guy broke his leg. You know, that's like the Chris Weidman Uriah Hall fight when Weidman kicked him and broke his leg back in January or earlier this year. You know, it's like Weidman comes back, they're probably gonna run that fight back because it was a freak accident. So I mean, but the thing is I think McGregor's starting to lose touch again. I really do. Just the stuff he's posted on Twitter and everything else, I think he's starting to kind of lose touch with the reality again.
What does he really have left to fight for? What does McGregor have to fight for if we're going to have
nothing? I mean, he's got plenty of money, unless he just wants to fight for money. Unless he wants to fight just to fight.
He just sold that whiskey, right? Not even a month ago for $100 and something million.
Well, he topped Forbes athlete list this year at $101 billion or million.
So to come back from the ankle and everything like that, what does he have to prove?
Nothing.
Anymore?
Honestly, if he's smart, he sits back and he finds the next Conor McGregor and puts that hype machine behind him and basically becomes like a Don King of MMA.
You think he would do good as making a promotion or being a promoter?
I think he would be one hell of a promoter. There ain't nobody could talk a fight up better. I mean, honestly, I really think that's his best option. Either that or he puts partners together and he tries to buy the UFC. But I don't think you're going to get that out of ESPN.
No.
Real quick, Mitch, do you want to give everybody a score update?
Quick update. The Washington football team is up 7-6 over the New England Patriots. The Philadelphia Eagles are leading the Pittsburgh Steelers 16-7.
Interesting. I know right now the White Sox are leading the Yankees 7-3 at the bottom of the fifth.
That's
nobody
the Field
cares
of Dreams
about the
game.
Yankees.
But that game is kind of cool because it's at the Field of Dreams Stadium. And that video of Kevin Costner walking out on that field for the first time in so many years, that'll pull your heartstrings right there. And then, but yeah, no, both NFL games are at halftime currently.
All righty then. I mean, yeah, it's that. I mean, after this game with the Yankees and the White Sox, do we see Field of Dreams getting another game for next year?
Oh, I think so. I think it's going to become like the outdoor game in the NHL.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think your opening day big game that they broadcast should always be played at the Field of Dreams Stadium. I think
that would be cool.
I think it would be a cool little. Like, can you imagine Yankees Red Sox at the Field of Dreams Stadium?
Dude.
But the one thing that I'm concerned about with it being the Field of Dreams is it forever tied to the White Sox because of the show.
The movie's going to be forever tied to the White Sox and the Yankees.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but then again, I think honestly having your opening day 8 p.m. game be played at the Field of Dreams Stadium, I think that would be really
cool. Like that idea, though. I think that's real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that right there could be the new tradition in MLB. Yeah. I think it should be because
either that or your all-star game played there every year. Quit moving it around and just put it at the Field of Dreams Stadium every year, and that's the all-star game.
I absolutely 110% agree. Kevin, what do you think about that? Field of Dreams game every year?
I agree. One of the games, maybe opening game or the all-star game, one of the two should be played there.
I agree. Yeah, I tell you what, it's going to be one of those things. I mean, should be cool. It should be really cool. I mean, should be really cool. Mitch, you want to give everybody a score update in the world of baseball?
Baseball scores. The Nationals and the Mets are 0. Mets beat the Nationals 4-1 and 7. The Mets beat the Nationals 5-4 and 7. I guess that was a doubleheader.
Yep, Elder's favorite game, double headers.
The Rays beat the Red Sox 8-1.
Oof, shit.
The White Sox are beating the Yankees 7-3 in the 5th.
Yep.
Cardinals beat the Pirates 7-6. Phillies beat the Dodgers 2-1. The Athletics beat the Guardians 17-0.
No, Jesus Christ.
Milwaukee Brewers beat the Chicago Cubs 17-4. The Detroit Tigers beat the Baltimore Orioles 6-4. The Seattle Mariners beat the Texas Rangers 3-1. The Reds beat the Braves 12-3. And then you have 3 more games starting later tonight. The Blue Jays versus the Angels, Padres and the Diamondbacks, and the Colorado Rockies versus the San Francisco Giants.
All righty, then. I thank you very much, sir, for that.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Very interesting going on in the world of sports, man. It's just been so busy, man, with football coming back. Oh, man, it's such a very exciting time to be a football fan. I'm so glad that the NFL is coming back, and it's going to be a very good show next week, I think, with our previews of the AFC North and the AFC South. And I appreciate you guys coming on today, and talking the NFL. And, man, we covered an hour plus of NFL talk from the start of the show to about the halfway mark of this show. I mean, that's just shows you right there how the NFL is back in full force and teams are getting back and playing now. Now it's the preseason. We're very close to the opening day of the NFL season this year. And it's going to be a hell of a ride, in the next several weeks going on in football. And once again, everybody, you can follow us on Twitter at @ON_sports show and the Facebook page, facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. And please, I just checked. Last time I checked, we had a subscriber for tonight. So 27 subscribers away from the big 100, baby. We need that 100 subscribers to get the custom URL. And also, while I'm at it giving promotions, you can follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, facebook.com/Nation's Corner, and YouTube. We just got that custom URL a couple of weeks ago. youtube.com/The Nation's Corner, as we keep you updated on what's going on with the latest news and roundabouts in the world of professional wrestling every Saturday night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central Time, 4 Pacific. And it's been a great show with you guys. And if you guys have anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, we'll talk about something else. If not, we will wrap the show up.
I do want to comment on the fact that history was made in the world of professional bowling this week. Jillian Martin, at 17 years old, is the youngest person to win a professional league title. So at 17 years old, she won a professional title against the other women. So that's a pretty big deal in our sport.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So.
That is awesome. That is very awesome. And, it's been an awesome show today with you guys. And before we end the show, I want to give our thoughts and prayers to Todd's friend. And it's unfortunate, but people, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Be precautious, be safe if you have to. Just be precautious, please.
Yep.
Wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer. Do what you got to do. And also, I want to say thoughts and prayers with Ezra. This week he's had a rough week this week, and I know next week he's going to be going to a concert. He's going to be going to see John 5 in Chicago, and John 5 is a great guitarist. Dude can shred, and I think he's about to show his talents with Rob Zombie ever since he's joined that band several years ago. And I actually went to my second concert this past Tuesday. My second concert of the year. My first concert was Dirty Honey in Johnson City, Tennessee, back in June. Tuesday, I got to go see Stained and Corn. That was a phenomenal show. Just, man, if you ain't never
And now he's coming undone.
That's right. That's right. That's right, baby. So, folks, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Once again, you can follow us on our social media platforms. Follow, like us, give us a subscribe on all of our social medias. Twitter.com/ON_sports show. Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show. And YouTube, please. Once again, we need to hit the 100 subscribe platform. That way we can make getting the URL and putting that much easier for you guys to find the channel of our Nation Sports Show. And final thoughts, guys, before we wrap up the show.
Thank God football's back.
Yes. Kevin?
This be the other week was the last week without football until later on next year. Thank God.
Yep. And then if everything goes right after this season in 2023, we will have football year round because the XFL will kick back up.
Man, that would be awesome.
Yes,
That
The
would
Rock
be
has said that is one of his top priorities is to get that back up by 2023.
I think The Rock can do it. I really think he can.
I think if anybody can, he's the one to do it.
The Rock is one of the most hardest working men, even after leaving the world of professional wrestling, and acting and his motivational speeches and all that stuff and working out all the time in the gym, getting up early in the morning and going to work out. The dude is
I am paradise.
Exactly.
Clanging and banging.
Clanging and banging, baby. The Rock has taught everybody to know the wrong and shut their mouth. And, we all know that. And, man, it's been a great week, man. I mean, this past Monday, it was the 22nd anniversary of Jericho debut on Raw in Chicago, interrupting The Rock in one of the greatest.
I still remember watching that live.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh Lord.
Oh my
Who
God.
in the blue hell do you think you are?
After 3 boring minutes, The Rock says you should know your role and shut your mouth. Oh my God, that whole entire promo, it was electric. And that was during the times, we all remember this, that was during the times when you had to watch because there was no social media back then. And when Jericho showed up, that Chicago crowd came unglued when he showed up on the stage.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it was during that time you didn't know what the hell they were going to do next.
Right.
Like you literally had to have 2 TVs going, one with TNT, one with USA, because you didn't want to miss anything.
Exactly.
No social media.
No.
We were all happier.
Exactly.
They didn't have to have The Rock embarrass my man like that though on his debut.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
That was hilarious.
The
What
Rock
he turned into talking about the Raw is Jericho. What did he say? He said,
The Rock
The
says,
Rock
you
show.
talk about your Y2J plan. Well, The Rock has a plan of his own. and
KY
it's called
jelly.
the KY jelly plan. Just good stuff, man. Oh my God. It's been such a great weekend. Going to a concert on Tuesday, going to rock out, headbang, and jump like a mother. You know what? In front of 8,500 people. My God, when Blind came on and Jonathan Davis said, I want to lose your mind right now. I was like, all right, let's go. And he yelled, are you ready? I was like, let's go. And I started jumping, head banging. I was going ape shit. It was awesome. Both bands were awesome. My God, it's been a great week, man, of sports. Football is back. Preseason kicked off today. The Field of Dreams game happening right now. I believe the score is still the same, 7-3, White Sox against the Yankees. And man, it's been a great evening with you guys. I'm glad you guys came in today, and helped me out today, and man, it was an awesome night tonight talking sports with you guys. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, we continue the NFL season previews, this time in the AFC North and the AFC South. And
7-4 White Sox.
7-4. Thank you very much. So with that being said, for Mitch, for Sean, for Kevin, I'm Stephen Wonder Wyand, and this has been another exciting episode of our Nation Sports Show. Have a good night and God bless. Yeah.